This is a very fascinating story. So, Brandon Carr, C-A-R-R, is the head of the Federal Communications Commission, appointed by Donald Trump. So Brandon's going to do what Donald Trump told him to do. And Donald Trump has told him to investigate Comcast NBC. Okay? Because Comcast NBC hates Trump. That's MSNBC, you know the drill. I don't have to go over it for you. And Trump goes, okay, we're going to investigate you. So why would you investigate them? This is the fascinating part. Comcast NBC is a private company. You can sic federal investigators on them, but they had to do something. All right? So this is where they're being investigated. DEI. Here is the statement from Mr. Carr. Quote, I expect that this investigation into Comcast and its NBC Universal operations will aid the Commission's broader efforts to root out invidious forms of DEI discrimination across all the sectors the FCC regulates. Well, what do you mean? FCC, this is a private company, but no, because Comcast provides infrastructure and communication services to the Defense Department. Did you know that? Comcast gets paid by the federal government because it does work for the Department of Defense. That's HEGSEF. So now, invidious, I love that word of the day, because Trump wrote the order, you can't have DEI if you're doing business with the federal government. But now NBC has got to turn over all its documents to the Trump administration. Oh, whoa. Okay, payback time. Remember The Godfather movie? At the end of the movie, Michael Corleone is the godfather to his sister Connie's child. Remember this? One of the greatest scenes in cinema history. He's in the church, and their baptism is underway. And then his goons, the Corleone goons, spread out over New York City and assassinate the rival mafia chieftains. And they cut back and forth to the baptism, to the assassinations. It's an unbelievable scene. That's what this is. Trump is just knocking them down one by one. Hey, you want to screw with me for 8 years, NBC? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. You turn over every corporate document to us, all your hiring, every interview. Incredible. Incredible turmoil the President of the United States is putting into these companies. CBS News, ABC News with Stephanopoulos, now NBC News. Get it? Get the big picture here? Okay. Okay, so there is no question that Donald Trump is taking revenge on the American press. And a lot of people feel it's justified because they try to put him out of business. They tried to take his livelihood away. They tried to put him in jail. They tried to do everything they could to destroy Mr. Trump's life. And now he's got this power back and he's going after him. No question about it. What about overseas? How do they see Donald Trump, particularly our strongest ally, Great Britain? So joining us now from London, England, where I lived for a year until they deported me for being obnoxious, is Piers Morgan. You know him. I don't have to go through the resume, but you can check him out on YouTube. His program is called Piers Morgan Uncensored. I don't know if you have ever been censored from the time you were 2, but to reinforce that is good. So, number one, you would agree with me that Donald Trump's taking revenge on the American media, correct?
Yeah, no question. But I also think that it's been entirely predictable given the way that the mainstream media in America has behaved in such an overtly partisan manner against him for 8 years. And I've been criticizing them for 8 years for doing it, pointing out that it's not the job of the media to take sides. I mean, some of them may be unashamedly, partisan. Fine, then show your colors. It's the more insidious, secret partisan behavior of very liberal-dominated newsrooms working at the supposedly impartial networks who've waged a kind of systematic activist campaign against Trump. And obviously, now he's got the chance, he's going to have some fun with them. But I would tell them to look at themselves very hard in the mirror and say, have we really not brought this on ourselves?
I work for CBS News. I work for ABC News. I mean, I know what the deal is. Now, it's crazy since Trump got into politics. Then all of the barriers left. And it was justified by a New York Times columnist who said, look, this guy's a danger to the union, so we're not going to have any rules anymore. We're going to try to destroy him. And once the New York Times put that posture out, then they all followed, and they thought that they had him. They thought that Donald Trump was done, and he rose like Dracula, and now he's going after them. Do you feel that is beneath the President of the United States to wreak that kind of vengeance?
Well, I think Donald Trump is always going to do what Donald Trump wants to do. And people who've tried to get involved in changing his mind about exacting retribution in this kind of manner normally discover it's a bit pointless. You know, he's nearly 80 years old. He's a leopard who won't change his spots when it comes to that kind of thing. If you read his book, The Art of the Deal, then it's all in there. Somebody punches you, punch them 10 times harder back is his mantra, and always has been for 50 years. So he's not going to change now. Look, I do think it's probably a little bit of a waste of time for the President of the United States when he's got so many more important things to worry about than going after the media. But what he's really doing, Bill, I think, is he's putting them back in their box. And he's also, I think, trying to focus their minds on, why don't you just try in this term of office, unlike the first term, being a little bit more fair-minded, you know, having some more conservative voices on your network, actually not making them pariahs, not directing your audience to feel that everything that Donald Trump does is evil personified. And actually, a lot of it might be quite good.
Now, when I was in London for the New York Jet-Minnesota Viking game in October, I pay close attention to the media in Great Britain, and a lot of them want to interview me. I just did a big thing in Paris. I am stunned by the lack of knowledge that British journalists have about our system in America. They don't understand how it works. They don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I've had the pleasure and honor of working and living in America for 20 years now. So I have a much greater knowledge, I would say, than 98% of British journalists. And they've been very lazy, particularly, I think, in their treatment of Trump. Just taking a kind of very easy, simplistic narrative that everything he does is awful. And that, of course, the Democrats are better people and a better party. And, of course, they're going to keep winning. And that just hasn't been borne out by events. So
but the British people buy it.
Meek and mild now.
The British people are buying it. I mean, you got the BBC lined up to do exactly what the NBC News is doing here. The BBC does over there, right?
Yeah, but I would say that the difference now compared to 2016, for example, or indeed Trump's whole first term, was that I would say the vast majority of people in Britain had a pretty negative view of Trump in his first term, driven largely by the media from America and everyone taking their lead from that. Right across Britain, from north to south, east to west, there is a massively better, more positive feeling towards Trump from the public, from the people.
Why?
Not necessarily the media, but because I think they've looked at it. I'll tell you why. Because we have a left-wing socialist government now in this country. Everybody was sick and tired of the Conservatives. They were no good, the Conservative governments, for 15 years. Honestly, a rat bag of very poor, incompetent leaders in the main. And inevitably, they got eventually kicked out of office. But what happened next was not like in 97, when Tony Blair came in and did a lot of pretty good things, actually, and was very, very popular. What happened here was that clearly, very quickly became clear to people that the Labour Party had not had any great plan for improving the country. Their whole stance was going to be the Conservative Party were terrible. They've driven the country into the ground. We're in terrible shape. And by the way, things are going to get worse. And their first actions were to punish financially pensioners and then to punish financially the farmers.
So
and
the
public
lefties
went, hang on, this is ridiculous.
Right. So the lefties are not succeeding in Great Britain. So by transferal, Trump looks a little bit better across the pond. Would I have it?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. And they look at him being very decisive and hitting the ground very hard and running with all these executive orders. And they're like, we'd love a bit of that energy and dynamism over here, please.
All right. Little action, right? In the House of Commons. Let's get some action going on. All right, Piers. We appreciate it very much. Thanks for taking the time. Hey, folks, let's talk about a serious threat to your home called title fraud. Criminals will just forge one document, file it with the recorder, and just like that, your home's title is stolen. Some even take out loans against your property, all without you knowing. So I urge you to take action with Home Title Lock. Their triple lock protection provides 24/7 monitoring, alerts, and an expert team that will restore your title if fraud happens at no extra cost. Heading into 2025, Home Title Lock is offering an exclusive 25% off their protection plans. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code BILL25 to get 25% off your subscription and a free title history report to ensure you are not already a victim. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BILL25. And joining us now from Chevy Chase, Maryland, the guy who used to work for Public Broadcasting Corporation. His name is Michael Pack. He's the president of Palladium Pictures right now, and he held the title of CEO for U.S. Agency in Global Media, in addition to being the VP for TV programming at PBS. So he knows what he's talking about. So am I making any mistakes here? Am I being too mean to PBS, NPR?
Well, not exactly. Yeah, I was the senior vice president of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, but perhaps just as relevantly, I've made over 15 documentaries, all of which have been nationally broadcast on public television. The last one was about Clarence Thomas. It was called Created Equal, Clarence Thomas in his own words. And that film was treated very fairly, but it is definitely the case that PBS and NPR are left-leaning organizations. It's obvious from their programming, just as you have said, Bill.
Why is that a fact? What happened there? What is the culture there? How did it happen?
I think it was more or less like that from the beginning. I mean, it's not dissimilar to the rest of the legacy media. You've just talked about other broadcasters. The difference really is that PBS and NPR get public money, and CPB, which is the institution that gets the federal money, is obligated to ensure that public broadcasting is objective and balanced, whereas CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC are not legally obliged to do that.
But it's not balanced.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
And I don't see there's one person in this country, Mr. Pack. I don't know anybody. Even the liberal people, the progressive people, they're not going to say, hey, they're balanced over there at NPR. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is absurd.
Well, absolutely. And I myself was personally attacked by NPR quite a lot when I was in the first Trump administration, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, running the U.S. Agency for Global Media, which oversees the Voice of America, et cetera.
Why were you attacked? What did they attack you for?
Well, they attacked me for, that is another organization that gets federal money that should be fair. And during the presidential election, they were putting on things that were pro-Biden and unbalanced, and my idea was they should get back to being fair, and they should be presenting American ideals to the world and promoting American values, and they have strayed from their mission, and NPR did not like that. And then my predecessor had become president of NPR, and he had particular bias. He was
so he didn't like you, and he was out to get you, and that's not unusual in the media.
No, but it's more than that. I mean, I think they were out to get President Trump, actually, more than me personally.
I don't know of any show on PBS or NPR that's ever said that Trump should be elected or Trump was a good president first time around. And if I'm wrong, if I missed it, I want people to tell me. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. But I don't watch him every. Go ahead.
I think it's gotten worse over the years, actually, though, Bill. I mean, I think in the old days at NPR, they would interview 4 people, and 1 would be a Republican and 3 would be Democrats.
Yeah.
But now on their panels, there are no Republicans, as I think you pointed out earlier. So it's really shifted. And I think that in some sense, public broadcasting feels like they could withstand attacks and threats to take their money away. They've done it before. Newt Gingrich threatened to take away their money in the 90s. And They feel that they have 400 stations around the country. Their boards are bipartisan. They're always able to get their congressmen to push for them, and they've withstood it in the past.
Well,
I
the
think Donald
Democrats are
Trump.
going to stick up for him. There's no doubt about it. But now with two houses Republican, they should be able to get that money out of there. But you never know. But it's interesting because Fox News does the same thing. It stacks 4 conservatives and then 1 liberal. But Fox News isn't getting our money.
That's right.
Right.
That's
And
the
then,
big
I mean,
difference.
they want to do that, and it's working for them, obviously. They can do it. But if NPR and PBS are getting our money, and Donald Trump gets nearly 80 million votes, they're disenfranchising 80 million Americans. NPR and PBS are disenfranchising them. And that is absolutely wrong. It's wrong morally, it's wrong historically, it's wrong in every way. Last word.
Well, I think they've had it this morning for many years. Public broadcasting has. And when I was there was some effort to bring in diversity of viewpoints, and they are, in theory, committed to diversity of viewpoints, but they have done very little over the past several decades. And now those chickens are coming home to roost, and we will see what happens.
All right, I don't want to pay for the chickens. Let the chickens pay for themselves. All right, Mr. Pack, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Now, over in Disney, a very, very powerful company, Disney, because it's not just media, but they control ABC News, as you know. Okay, so I've been telling you that I think there's going to be changes at The View because it's so hateful. And again, Disney can do what it wants because it isn't taking our money. They can do whatever it wants to do. But when you're hateful on that program, it goes over into all your other enterprises. All of the other Disney properties are influenced negatively by the hate. I mean, another example, this Anna Navarro, absolutely the worst. How she ever got there she's never done anything I can see in her whole entire life, but she's there. This is what she says after the Super Bowl. Go.
I think today Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order banning black people from halftime. Because you remember last week we were talking about whether the NFL was capitulating to Trump by removing the term end racism from the end zone. Yeah. Boy, did they not capitulate to Trump.
Okay. They had a halftime show that was incomprehensible. With all due respect to Kendrick Lamar, I mean, maybe he's the most talented guy in the world, but couldn't understand a word he said. And I don't believe that rap music is embraced by any more than 15% of the American population. And I don't care that he was there. That didn't offend me. But then she takes it over into Trump is going to ban black people from she tried to make a joke. I understand it. And interestingly enough, when that was first reported, the conservative news that reported it said that she said it seriously. She didn't. So this cuts both ways. But the point is, on The View, they hate the President of the United States. It's not that they disagree with him. They hate him. And Disney all Disney executives had to do, Iger has to do, is come to New York, because he's in Burbank, California, and say, look, we want to keep the show on the air. This is Iger now, but you're going to have to knock off the hate. And if you can't, then I want you to resign. That's all. That's all you got to do. Now, also, there is a report from touringplans.com that most American families cannot afford to go to the Disney theme parks anymore. So the data is pretty stunning. It will cost you to go to Disneyland or Disney World, according to this website, between $700 and $1,400 a day for a family of 4. If you stay a week, it's up to $11,000 to vacation at a Disney property. Now, if you're paying more than $1,000 a day, and that's not hard to do because you want to get that fast pass and all that other business that the Disney people have, or you got to wait in the hot sun in Orlando for 2 hours to get into the rides your kids want to go on. If you're going to pay $1,000 a day, I mean, that's serious money. Most people don't have that kind of money. Now, Disney could moderate that, but it doesn't, because it can get it, but it shuts out the poor and the working class. President Trump's victory is a win for America. That's what most voters think. But Bidenomics has left us with a failing economy. I rely on American Hartford Gold to protect my savings with physical gold and silver, and you should consider that. American Hartford Gold has thousands of five-star ratings and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. A tax-advantaged gold IRA can shield you from worsening inflation. You can even roll over your 401k or IRA tax-free and penalty-free. So act now before it's too late. Call or text American Hartford Gold. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you for up to $15,000 of free silver on qualifying orders. Call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. That's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Last year, investors scored the highest profits in decades. Unfortunately, the rest of us were held back by stacks of bills and credit card debt. Well, Done with Debt has found a solution. They created a brilliant new strategy designed to tackle debt, put cash back into your hands, so you can finally save, invest, and live your life in comfort. Done with Debt goes head-to-head with credit card and loan companies. Their team of negotiators and legal experts work to significantly reduce your bills, eliminate interest, and erase penalties. Bottom line, Done with Debt helps turn crushing debt into financial freedom. But some of their strategies are time sensitive, so please don't wait. Get the life you deserve. Visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their strategists, absolutely free. Visit donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com. All right, South Africa. So as you may know, Elon Musk was born in Pretoria, South Africa. He became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2002. So South Africa is now doing something heinous. And the United States gives that country a lot of money. All right. I have the stat, but I don't have it with me. How is that possible? I have the stat, but it doesn't, because it came in at the last juncture. Can you tell me in my ear, I'm talking to my producer now, how much money we give them a year? Okay, $440 million a year. The United States gives South Africa. Okay, and we don't even get a safari out of it. If you want to go, you have to pay. So what is South Africa doing? It's seizing land from whites and giving it to blacks. Here is the new law, just signed 2 weeks ago in South Africa. Quote, to provide for the expropriation of property for a public purpose or in the public interest, to regulate the procedure for the expropriation of property for a public purpose or in the public interest, including payment of compensation, to identify certain instances where the provision of nil compensation, that means nothing, may be just and equitable for expropriation in the public interest. That means we can take your land, your farm, your house, we the government in Pretoria, South Africa, and give it to whoever we want. It's communism. So Musk, he didn't like that. So there's it. But why are we giving $450 million to South Africa? For what? Migrant update. We haven't gotten an update today. I was surprised. So between January 20th, February 3rd, according to Newsweek, about 6,000 people were deported to 121 countries. That cost us a fortune. But we don't know the last week how that is playing out. We do know that the intrusions across the border are down 90% from the last few weeks of Biden. There you go. Hello. Finally, I got a letter about some undocumented migrant who married an American. and believes that he is going to become an American citizen because of the marriage. No. Nope. Doesn't happen. Now, it's easier to get a green card to work, but you're not going to automatically be a citizen. Smart life. So all of these surveys say that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which means they don't have any savings. I believe it. But the spending is at a record level here. This Christmas holiday, okay, $1 trillion spent by Americans. Ooh, wow. Trillion. Okay? And it was like 4% more than the last year. This is according to the Carney Consumer Institute, which tracks this kind of stuff. So everybody's spending. When I go to these restaurants, when I was in Palm Beach last week, I'm sorry, Palm Beach, the restaurants are insane. $31 for a cheeseburger. $31. I think they gave you fries, but I'm not sure. Packed. Oh, yeah, $31, so I'll take 5. I mean, you know what is in California over Christmas? I had an In-N-Out burger. I think it was $7.50. It was better than any $31 burger I ever had. So keep that in mind. Anyway, smart life. You gotta pull back. Everybody listening to me tonight, you have to assess what you have. Assess it. All right. Now they say, oh, you should have 6 months reserve in case something bad happens. You should have 6 years, not 6 months. You've got to sacrifice your own pleasures to build up security for yourself and your family. You have to. You have to. Because you're going to get crushed. Something bad's going to happen. And with all of these insurance, oh my God. Have you looked at your insurance rates on home and car, health? That's out of control. I want Trump to get into that. I don't know how he's going to do it. Because the United States government doesn't run that. We don't have socialized medicine here. But you're getting killed. So he's going out and out and out. And then you're running out to restaurants and paying $31 for a cheeseburger. Smart life. Be disciplined. Be tough on the spending. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.